Evolutions is the 4th season of the Bakugan reboot, lasting a good 26 episodes, including for the first time ever 2-hour-long specials. Now, as of the time of the recording this, Teletoon is actually still airing Bakugan Evolutions. They were just taking a hiatus and they will air the rest of the episodes later. Just the Australian site 9Go has already aired the episodes, so spoiler warning for those who still have not watched the rest of it. The season introduced the Bakugan Academy, elemental forms, Nanogan, and different form of evolutions that are not like the first season's evolutions. I always found it pretty strange when the season was announced they would have evolutions as one of the gimmicks, since Armored Alliance established that evolutions was no longer possible. But this evolution in season 4, they just changed between strength and speed mode. So it's that kind of evolution. They can summon Nanogans instead of Geogons, which they never really expanded on. Drago can go Crystal mode called Genesis, and a lot of things happened this season. I was not prepared for how directionless evolutions turned out to be. They tried fitting in so much arcs and storylines that ultimately led to nothing and got absolutely lost in the mix of the real bad guy story, Wrath. They teased a dark character turn for Dan, which ultimately led to nothing, and made Dan look very bad. They teased an arc with Shun regarding the future of his company, which led to nothing. They even had an arc for Ajit to find out who his roommate was, which also led to nothing. But some of the good parts was the introduction of Athena, who became a very popular character in her own right. The story was comprehensible with essentially 2 threats to the world, but they worked against each other, and as usual, some great animation and performances. Especially Athena's character, that we got to know so well over the course of Evolutions. Every time she appears, there was always something new that we learn about her. For better or for worse. And I think some of the highlights from Evolutions was her savagery towards Dan.
You amateurs! Ugh. We don't need some internet clown getting in our way.
How come you didn't bring out your Nanogan?
Because I can easily beat you without it. He's the worst student in the whole academy. Awesome brawlers. You can't even handle your elemental Bakugan. How do you think you could be a teacher? You're barely qualified to be a student.
Emotional damage!
We had great new and different animation to keep it fresh, some new Bakugan.
Oh yeah!
And there was also so much that happened that it kept the story engaging. A group of guys are trying to separate Earth from Vestroia, a Bakugan that is jealous of Drago wants ultimate power, storms are raging, and it turned out to all be a conspiracy. Evolutions had the foundations of being one of the most intricate stories that the reboot had ever presented, though it might have hit a snag that would be the cause of its downfall. Wasn't a kiss of death per se, but could have been handled better. First up, what Dan went through this season. He kept losing to Athena, he can't elementally evolve properly, Athena is helping the other awesome brawlers evolve, causing a sort of a rift between them, and it led to absolutely nothing. Could have had Dan go through a dark character turn where he becomes afraid of losing all his friends because they surpass him or something, but instead it became something about working together with Athena or something like that. The endgame of that potential story arc was just a huge letdown. The season introduced 3 kids called the Masters of Disasters trying to be superheroes and as strong as the Awesome Brawlers, only for them to be very unlikable and of no development whatsoever, and it took appearing in a Magnus episode for them to have any semblance of character. The mystery of Ajit's roommate thought we could get an endgame of that, only to end up being an episode about Leah and China Riot. Shun's company being in danger of a potential hostile takeover by a new competitor, Ted Jansen, but plot twist, it was Gregorius Reed and ended up not resolving that conflict. That story got dropped in favor of making Reed look worse of a character. Seriously, get rid of Gregorius Reed, he doesn't contribute absolutely nothing. The special Wrath of Wrath introduced a new moral predicament that we could have seen the Awesome Brawlers go through, making them question why they would save the world if no one will appreciate them and turn on them at the first mistake. But that ended up being nothing and really made Dan come off as annoying. It really seemed like this season had sort of an idea of what to do, but the creative direction that led it down there was just non-existent and ended up paying off nothing, leaving us absolutely disappointed and wondering what the hell just happened. If you don't care to express your story, then why should you expect the audience to continue caring? There's quite a bit more, but I don't want to fill this video with so much spoilers, so go back and watch my episode reviews if you're interested. And by the way, the beginning of the season had so much production issues. Mirrored animations, choppy editing, sound files were off from the scenes, questionable use of certain transitions, a lot of the filler episodes ranged from okay to pointless, the actual first episode airing in the middle of the season, what the hell? Yeah, it did not work because the premiere presented itself as having to have seen this episode before seeing the premiere. which is pretty insulting on the audience's intelligence if I'm being honest. But despite all the downs this season had, I did find more good things about it than bad. The idea of having 2-hour-long specials, that was an idea that was never done before. The fight scenes and animations were great as always. They went all out for Genesis Drago. They did try out a few new things like Faustus' character, which was neat. Overall, it seems like Athena carried the whole season with her relationship arc with Faustus and the Awesome Brawlers, moving along the story and their interactions. Evolutions was not a great season, but it was definitely not bad. It was engaging to say the least, and rewatching it again, it was definitely entertaining, all pessimism aside. Plugging Evolutions into the star rating, I'm giving it a solid 7 out of 10. This season really seemed directionless and struggled with the ending for a lot of their character arcs, but the general idea and story was still visible to an extent where you will still have a decent time watching. It was at least better than Bakugan Rising, I'll tell you that much. But there is an amazing thing that we got out of this season, an absolute treasure that we will preserve in the Bakugan archives that we will tell future generations of brawlers to come. It's Lord Bracken's Mona Lisa painting. So that was my rating for Bakugan Evolutions. What did you think of this season? Let me know in the comments down below, as well as what your own personal rating would be. And as usual, if you like this content, please be sure to consider giving us a thumbs up and give us a subscribe for more awesome Bakugan content. I've been Haru Ren, and thank God for Rapid Fire. Bye! Now, you see? That's modern art right there.